The Joe Rogan Experience.
I just remember Dr. Dre telling me, yo, because his work ethic is crazy. He says, you don't have to be on every day, just most days. And it stuck with me, and I was like, yeah, man, like, you know, you got to be known for being the guy that hit home runs almost every time. Not every time, but almost every time.
But when you're dealing with something that involves creativity, it can't be every day.
Mm-hmm.
It's not possible. Mm-hmm. You're asking too much of the muse.
Yeah.
You know, but that's also the problem with like being a workaholic. You're going hard all the time. You're constantly working, and you're gonna have your hits and you're gonna have your misses, and that's just a part of the process.
I go hard with everything that I do, whether it be a bad thing or a good thing.
Yeah.
Like
most people do.
I got like, you know, the same energy I give to that, to the music and shit, I was giving to like the wrong things for a while.
A good friend of mine, we were talking about a buddy of ours that died. He died from pills. And he was super clean. He was a professional pool player, like a really like world-class pool player. Super clean, never did anything, never drank, never smoked. Got in a car accident, fucked his back up, started getting on pills. And pain pills, to him, he chased the pain pills the way he chased being the best in the world at pool. The same thing that got him to be a wizard at playing pool, that same obsession.
Tore him down.
That same obsession got wrapped up in the pills. Mm-hmm. And he died. He died young. And we were talking about him like that is what it is. That's where obsession and addiction cross paths. One can serve you, one can ruin you. Mm-hmm. And they're the same energy. Mm-hmm. It's just how you channel the fire. You could channel the fire to wood and cook your food, or you can channel it to your house and now you're fucked. Like, where do you put the fire? How do you direct it? Mm-hmm. And if you direct it the right way, you can have an amazing life and do all kinds of cool shit and have a great time and meet cool people and have a fun life. Or you could do it the wrong way and just be on Skid Row.
Yeah.
Covered in scabs.
It's hard to balance sometimes things that are take over your soul, like pills and shit like that. Later I want to talk to you about, I got into like the business of rehab, not for money. I got into the business of rehab to help people, but that's later. Honestly, like my whole life was just all music. I loved music. I loved going in my fucking car and just listening to the things I loved, like music. I love music of the 70s, and I love Marvin Gaye. I like all this fucking
I love Marvin Gaye.
Incredible music, Earth, Wind and Fires, and this, that. Like that's where it all comes from. So I base my music on the past 50 years of music, 100 years of music. And I was doing good. I smoked pounds of weed, made my music, lived a very healthy life, and became very rich. And I was in a bubble for so long that one day I'm living in a house that Ivanka Trump recently just bought. It was my house on Indian Creek Island, okay, which I owned outright. I bought the fucking house for cash from the widow of the founder of Southern Wine and Spirits. And I bought this house. It was fucking massive topiary gardens and incredible thing. I was living a healthy life. And I wasn't in my mind like cool, but I was like happy. I was cool. That was as cool as it gets because I was balanced and healthy and doing what I love to do. But I felt like I was yearning for something bad, or I don't know what I was yearning for. But this girl ended up showing up at my doorstep. A very famous girl. And look, I'm not playing the blame game or anything, but it's just a course of events happened. Paris Hilton shows up at my door initially to work on music, and we ended up connecting, and I learned this whole new way of life, like with paparazzis and being like next to her, and then, excuse me, inevitably hooking up with her, and we're now an item and shit, and we're, you know, kind of like we're having tons of fun. We're good friends, but I think we're both using each other in a certain way, like where I'm like so excited to be next to this girl who's like the coolest, most famous girl in the world. She's like my girl, and like she's next to her passion was at that time music, and she was like next to me, who I'm the #1 music producer in the world at the time. And it went on, and then inevitably the nightlife led to fucking cocaine. And that,
no.
she don't lie. She don't lie.
No.
First year and a half, going here on planes and San Tropez and St. Bart's and the flyest shit you could do and flyest, the best fucking coke and all that shit, just having a blast. And then it just goes bad. And then it's just like you have a relationship. You've seen the movie Blow. And you've seen how hot Penelope Cruz and Dude were like in the beginning. They were like into each other. Then it just comes.
Of course.
All like there's no happy ending.
Your foundation gets rotted out under you.
Yeah, and like my A-list life was like, was born there, and like I was now like in that situation, and then it ended up with Kim Kardashian and all these different things, and like she wasn't even famous at that point, but like she's cool, man. She's always been a great person, and like just
I gained a lot of respect for her when she started working for criminal and prison reform.
Yeah, it just shows like that shit's from the heart too. She's
advocacy for people that are wrongfully accused. Yeah, man, she's done a lot of good things. That lady's gotten a lot of people out of jail.
Yeah. I look, as long as I've known Kim, she's never been anything but just a super sweet person, and
that's awesome.
I met her before the fame. Like we dated before the fame, and I was a hot mess. Like I was the fucked up one when we were together. Like I just was not focused. I was just thinking about strippers and drugs and this and that, and was just I was still on a high level, but I was living a fucked up life. I had a session. Now I moved to Palm Island from Indian Creek because everything I was doing, I was trying to impress Paris, and like I knew that everybody wanted to be on Star Island and Palm Island, and like close to the party. South Beach was It was South Beach.
Right.
I didn't know that where I was living already was the Big Daddy. Like those houses, you have to be everybody's there. Like Bezos, everybody's there now. Like where I was, I moved to this house on Palm Island. I go from a 90-foot yacht to a much bigger yacht. I take these leaps just trying to impress her and just blow her mind, even though she didn't need that. But I was
trapped
doing it. Yeah, it was all some weird mental thing. Like I felt
a lot of people get caught in that spiral when they start making money.
I didn't want to be famous. I wanted to be the most famous. I wanted to be the biggest boss, not just a boss. I had to be that guy.
Boy.
And when I lost everything, it was like it's bad news. And look, I had Janet Jackson at my house to do a session.
Pre or post nipple at the Super Bowl?
I don't even remember. I don't remember the nipples, but I remember this sweet, cool lady. When I met Janet, I was told to not even really talk to her, more like talk to somebody, and it was like a
for
buffer.
real?
It was like pass your message and tell this person and they're gonna relay it. Even in the same room, to the point where within a few hours.
Wait, you're collaborating with music?
Just for the first few minutes this happened, and then dude, we became homies. It was immediate. I was like, fuck that.
Well, sometimes it's the handlers that fuck things
the
up.
handlers.
I've seen people that they give themselves extra importance by saying, if you want to talk to her, you have to talk to me first.
Yeah, that kind of
creating
a role for themselves.
And creating a little bit of insecurity on your part too. Don't address Miss Jackson.
Right.
Address me.
Yeah.
I'll address Mrs. Jackson.
That's exactly.
And probably she might not even know about
all that. Dude,
were
by the end of the day, I was I was smoking my weed. She was I was telling her about the different kinds I had in these New York plastic jars and this and that, and just cool as hell. But flash forward to now, she's coming to Palm Island to work. I left her at my house for 7 or 8 hours because I wanted to go to the Gold Rush and go get some blow and hang out with strippers. It was just are you fucking serious? You're really gonna do that?
Yeah.
You don't see it at the time because it's out of your fucking mind.
You're out of your fucking mind.
Out of my mind.
Yeah.
Out of my tits.
It's just
so much regret for things like that.
When you have so much money and you have power and fame, it's you have too much possibility.
Yeah.
There's too many things that can entice you. And if you're doing blow and going to strip clubs all the time, it's just more titties in my face, please. Let's keep doing it. Let's keep partying. Let's stay up.
It's selfish. And you're not thinking about it because you're what did he say in Goodfellas? Your brain's going to mush.
It's imbalance.
It's true.
It's imbalance. It's like what we were talking about. So you need a balance.
The A-list parties turn to B-list parties. The B-list turns to C-list. The C-list turns to fucking street urchins. You know what I mean? But I remember I've had some fucking funny moments though. I remember having a party. It was like a Super Bowl party. I had like 700 or 800 people at my house, and now like everybody's like fizzling out. It's now like 9 in the morning, 10 in the morning. I think Snoop was there, Mike Epps was there. Different people were hanging out, lingering, chilling, like family people. Now it's like friends and shit. And like there's a knock on my door at like 10 a.m. And it's Pamela Anderson. And that shit was the funniest shit. In my house, living with me at that time was one of my favorite people. And I knew he was upstairs, like sleeping or whatever. My good friend DMX, God rest his soul. And Pamela was showing up. And I was like, yo, X, check this out. I was all geeked out. I'm like, thinking it's so funny that I got Pamela coming to my house at 10 in the morning. And he comes over the railing of my house, and he's like, looks over. He's like, Baywatch. And then he just walked back away. He walked back in the fucking thing. Okay? X was living with me, man. And like, it was like the blind leading the blind. I'm a coke addict, and he was a crack addict. And I'm like trying to help him. I'm like, man, you really need to get clean, man. like what the fuck is really? Yeah. So I'm like, yo, you need to go to rehab. I'm like, so I get him, I convince him like to avoid like a jail sentencing for something, a charge that he had, whatever. He went to rehab and like was getting his shit together. The place that I had gone that didn't really work for me, but I had him there. I really did care about him. I wanted him off that shit. Like whatever, that was like a worse evil or a faster suicide than I was even on. And he ran out of the place. I got a call from him. The place was directly across the street from the Hard Rock in Hollywood, Florida. And he's like, calls me. He's like, yo, what's up? I'm like, well, how are you calling me? You don't have phone privileges like that in this place. He's like, I'm across the street from the rehab at the Hard Rock with one of the nurses. And like, I'm like, oh my, are you fucking kidding me? I was like, yo, X, cover yourself up. Come back to my house. I'm going to talk to these people, let you back in. And they wouldn't let him back in. It was like real tough motherfucker that owned this place. And he ended up, because it was court ordered, he had to go away. I'm at the Mondrian one morning, a couple of days later, and my security is like, yo, Doug, there's 50 federal agents here. Woo, woo, woo. Like crazy shit, bro. It was like, I couldn't believe it. I felt horrible. And then you flash forward to not so long ago, I was heavily involved in a rehab center in California, in Studio City, where we used cannabis for healing. And it came to my attention that he was on his last legs. X was in bad shape. So I was able to make a meeting happen. My partner, Steve LaBelle, I don't know if you know who Steve LaBelle is, managed Bone Thugs and Harmony and all these people, like real legend. We were partners on this place, and we had X come in. He had emphysema. He was one rock away from death, like, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So we convinced him. We put him on a private plane to Washington to do a detox. He went. He went through the whole detox, and his plan was to leave the detox and come to our facility inpatient and do rehab. He never made it back on the plane to head back, and we never saw him again. And like, I was me trying to save a man's life that I really loved, man. He was like such a special guy, but like
such a special performer.
Yeah.
Man, there's
one of the greatest to ever do it.
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. The power that guy had in his voice. It was amazing. But wild people make wild shit. And
Intense. I'm one of them.
Sometimes
like, yeah.
you can't control it.
You can't calculate or...
Yeah, I mean, going back to Kinnison, I mean, that just did him in. I mean, he died in a car accident, but I mean, he was falling apart because it was all cocaine. Cocaine and drinking. And the wildest of the wilds all get caught up in that life because you escape yourself.
It's an escape. I was just about to say it. Yeah, it's an escape.
The difference between enjoying yourself and an escape is,
but,
you know.
Bro, like the come down, like after, like, because after a while, like, that like getting fucked up and going to sleep doesn't work. It's like now you want to go for 2 days or 3 days. The way you feel at the end of that run is no good, bro. It's like
not good.
It's just no good.